Today is my birthday. Can I have you tonight? Everyone was having dinner together when my fiance's female buddy suddenly said this. Her tone was normal, as if she were talking about something unimportant. The only abnormal thing was that she said this in Italian. Get yourself clean and wait for me. My fiance replied in the same calm tone. My chopsticks dropped to the ground. I looked up blankly at my fiance and asked, "What were you guys just saying? Why can't I understand a single word?" It wasn't that I couldn't understand Italian, but that I couldn't understand what they really meant. Was it what I thought it was? IV. What we just said was our local dialect. It's normal that you don't understand. Emily just asked me if there would be a second round tonight after your birthday. She wants to go singing with us all night long. While John was speaking, he rubbed my head. His eyes were full of tender affection. IV. Do you want to go singing? You haven't been feeling well these days. Staying up late is bad for your health. I'm on my period these days. Every time I'm on my period, John always remembers and makes me brown sugar water and ginger tea. He's always afraid that I'll catch a cold and get menstrual cramps. Such a guy. I thought he'd always be as loyal to me as he claimed. John. I've already booked a hotel. You're not going to back out just because Ivis on her period, are you? It's my birthday today. You can only be mine. Emily continued to say coquettishly in Italian. You once said that no matter who you marry, I'll always be your most important buddy in this life. You haven't forgotten, have you? Suddenly, my hands and feet turned cold, and the blood in my whole body seemed to freeze instantly. Is this what a good buddy means? They never showed any intimate behavior in front of me before. I thought they were really just good buddies. I think I'll pass. I pushed John's hand away. In not feeling well, I'll go back and rest first. John took me home, made me a cup of brown sugar water, watched me drink it, covered me with the quilt, and then rushed out. Throughout this process, his phone kept ringing. As soon as John went out, I called my male best friend. Come over and sleep with me. Bring your boyfriend too. Goodness gracious. IV. Are you running a fever? You want us two to sleep with you? Goodness gracious. Are you coming or not? If you're a good best friend, come over and warm the bed for me. David arrived at my place half an hour later. He brought his boyfriend, Alex, who was as cute as a little puppy. I told him what had happened today. What a jerk. I've never heard of a female buddy booking a hotel like that. David took off his clothes and lay down between me and his boyfriend. In the past, there were 3 of us girls. Now one of our friends has gone abroad. Now I can only rely on him to help me deal with my negative emotions. Fortunately, his boyfriend is very well behaved and nice. The next day, when John came back, he saw me, David, and Alex lying in the same bed. IV. What are you guys doing? There seemed to be a world of grievances in his eyes, and the corners of his eyes were red. How could you guys sleep in the same bed behind my back? David gave him a disdainful look, got out of bed, put on his clothes, and went to the bathroom. Alex put on his clothes and stood aside, seemingly worried that I'd be bullied by John. I stretched and asked him in Italian, "Did you sleep comfortably at the hotel last night?" A range of emotions flickered across his face before he finally asked, "You speak Italian?" Our Ivy Smith is fluent in 16 languages. David Johnson called out from the bathroom, sticking his head out with a smug, punch-worthy grin. If it weren't for the fact that John's company relied heavily on the Johnson family, I suspected David Johnson would already be a corpse. At that moment, John's eyes flashed with murderous intent, as if he wanted to tear him to pieces. You slept at a hotel with your female friend, and I slept at home with my male best friend. Fair enough, right? I tilted my head and grinned at him. His face turned purple with rage. How is that fair? Yesterday was Emily Brown's birthday. We've slept in the same bed since childhood, and nothing else happened. I was on my period yesterday, freezing cold and needed someone to warm me up. David and I have also shared a bed since we were kids, And nothing happened either. I threw his words right back at him. That can't be right as a woman. Your reputation matters a lot. He argued desperately, veins bulging on his forehead. So you're saying your female friend's reputation doesn't matter? How awful for her to be your female friend. Does she know you care so little about her reputation? David swaggered out of the bedroom, leaving behind a parting comment. Next time your man is off with another woman, remember to call us. Your male best friend will be there for you. John slammed his palm against the door. Don't push it too far, he warned. I just smiled. If it weren't for the unresolved business ties between our families, I wouldn't bother wasting words on him. John behaved himself for a few days. Then, during a meeting, his phone kept ringing. I recognized that ringtone was his female friend, Emily Brown. John Doe. I've been in a car accident. Can you come take me to the hospital? A woman's wailing followed, as if she were dying. John glanced at me. It's a matter of life and death. We grew up together as close friends. I curled my lips. Go ahead. After John left the office, I announced to everyone, your boss is busy taking care of his female friend today and has no time for work. Since that's the case, everyone gets a month off. They all exchanged bewildered looks, staring at each other in confusion. Only after they saw me grab my purse and walk out of the company did they confirm I was serious about the vacation. I called my brother and told him to cut ties with the Doe family as soon as possible. I was done with this arranged marriage. My brother asked for a month. In that time, he would pull out all the projects. I knew a month was the fastest possible, and it would cost him dearly. Then I called David. Where are you? Skiing in Switzerland with my boyfriend. I cursed inwardly. Men had boyfriends, and here I was without one. I booked a flight straight to Switzerland. David and his boyfriend were stunned when they saw me. They thought I was joking. I'm here to join you. With me around, you can openly show off your relationship on social media. They both laughed. David is the heir to the Johnson family, and his parents would never accept him falling for a man. So he hadn't had the chance to post any proper couple photos of them on social media. With me joining in, David posted tons on social media. To avoid making it too obvious, any picture of them cozying up always included me either grabbing his face or pulling his hair. Sometimes I just hugged both of them directly. To outsiders, our photo looks exactly like a slut caught in a love triangle with two men. A week later, a tall, imposing man appeared in Switzerland. He packed the three of us onto the Taylor family's private jet. Innocently, I blinked at David Johnson and asked, "What's going on?" David winked back. I had no idea what he meant. Turning to look at that man again, his sharp, intimidating aura made even a seasoned professional like me feel a sense of awe. Could this be the head of the Taylor family? Alex Williams' brother, Robert Taylor. But that didn't make sense. According to David, this man ignored them completely, and Alex was just a nobody in the Taylor family. Upon arriving in Kyoto and stepping off the plane, John Doe appeared before us. Ivy Smith. Why did you run off without a word? I blinked. I told everyone I'm on vacation for a month. John thanked Robert. Thank you, Robert, for bringing my fiancé back. My mind went blank. When did John know Robert? Robert nodded and left with David and Alex. You're not mad because I went to take care of Emily Brown, are you? I told you. It was a matter of life and death, he said, his voice full of anger. You're out playing with other men like this, and it's embarrassing me. His phone showed a photo of me hugging David and Alex, looking extremely intimate. I admired the photo. It's a great shot. I'll ask David to send it to me later so I can print it and hang it in my office. Ivy. John grabbed my wrist. Did you hear what I said? Where do you think this leaves my dignity? It's a matter of life and death for me too. If I don't go out and have fun, I'll go crazy. That's a life at stake. My life matters too. That's just twisting words. He gritted his teeth in frustration, but I was unfazed. Like water off a duck's back. Where does my dignity go when you're with another woman? I asked lightly. She's my girlfriend who's like a brother. How is that another woman? We grew up together like siblings. You're being unreasonable. His voice was loud. His face flushed. He started dragging me away. My whole body was pulled along as I shouted. He's my male friend. How is that another person? We grew up together. You're being irrational. Since I realized he's a jerk. My main goal now is to piss him off so he can't focus on work. Allowing my brother to smoothly pull out the project. Watching him seethe with rage. Ready to hit someone. Felt incredibly satisfying. We reached the parking lot. Emily was sitting in the passenger seat. Smiling as she greeted me. Ivy. I get carsichia. Don't mind if I sit up front. Do you? Why would I mind? In a crash. That spot kills you first. You dying for me. I should thank you. I grumbled as I climbed into the back seat. Sitting right in the middle as if terrified of being hit in an accident. When Emily Brown heard my words. Her face turned pale. And she looked helplessly at John Doe. Ivy Smith. Have I spoiled you too much? Since that's the case. You should stay home and reflect on your actions recently. Take a break from work. I rolled my eyes internally. I used to think I would marry him. So I went to the company to help him. Now that I'm not going to marry him anymore. Who cares about going to work? Wouldn't it be better for me to go back to work at my own family's company? Once my brother says everything is settled, I'll dump him immediately. Emily Brown turned her head and looked at me smugly. I extended 2 fingers, making a motion like gouging out eyes. Which scared her into letting out a shriek. What a weakling. John Doe had one hand on the steering wheel and the other comforted her with concern, saying not to be afraid. That he drove steadily. I posted all the photos David Johnson sent me on my social media with the caption. Still. A guy best friend is the best, sleeps with you. Plays with you. A must-have at home. In the quiet car. Emily Brown's voice was heard again. Ivy. How could you do this? Her voice choked with tears. And John Doe slammed on the brakes immediately. A car behind us passed by and yelled. Asshole. I gave him a like. He's absolutely an asshole. Suddenly braking in the middle of the road. If there was a big truck behind us, we would have been killed already. After being yelled at, John Doe realized his behavior was inappropriate. He pulled the car to the side and asked softly. Emily Brown. What's wrong? Has the stress disorder from the last car accident not gotten better yet? As he spoke, he placed a hand on Emily Brown's head. His gaze was tender, as if looking at a treasure. I quickly took a photo and posted it on my social media with the caption. Fiance comforting his female buddy. I feel a bit redundant. Urgently waiting for roadside assistance online. I included the location tag when posting. Emily Brown glanced at me, hesitant to speak. Go ahead. Don't mind her. Does Ivy sleep with her guy best friend? Her voice was very soft. Gentle. And weak. Tinged with uncertainty. But in the enclosed car, her words clearly reached John Doe's ears. John Doe's face immediately darkened. And he drove on in silence without a word. Emily Brown, seeing that John Doe didn't react, felt resentful but ultimately stayed silent. John Doe dropped me off at home first. Then said he would take Emily Brown home. Things like this used to happen often. He said she was his female friend who was like a brother. And taking care of her was only natural. But tonight, Emily's provocation didn't succeed. And the way she looked at me at the end clearly showed she was up to something again. I made a phone call to David. I asked him to help me find someone to follow them. When necessary, I'll go and annoy them. Before, they used the brother excuse as a cover. But now that I've confirmed their inappropriate relationship, how can I let them have their way so easily? David acted faster than ever. Messages kept coming to my phone from him. They went to a bar to drink. They hugged at the bar. They kissed at the bar. A video was attached afterward. From the video, I could see that John Doe was completely drunk and unconscious, while Emily Brown looked quite sober. This woman is interesting. Other mistresses would secretly provoke the wife. Sending something to upset her. She has never sent anything. I never posted strange moments on social media. If it weren't for me knowing Italian, I wouldn't have found out about their affair until who knows when. In less than an hour, David Johnson sent me a video of them checking into a hotel room to get first-hand photos. I immediately got out of bed and had David come pick me up. When I got downstairs and got in the car, I realized the person picking me up was Robert Taylor. Where to? His voice was calm, unreadable. I opened the car door, ready to get out. No trouble, Robert Taylor. I can go myself. My foot was already out, but the door wouldn't open. David is taking care of my brother. He has a fever. Me. It's fine. I can go by myself. He said he was afraid you'd cry. I strongly suspected David was deliberately setting me up. I hadn't cried since kindergarten. I gave the hotel address. At a small shop near the hotel entrance, I bought a few packs of condoms. Robert watched my actions indifferently. Entering the hotel, I headed straight for John Doe and Emily Brown's room. At the door, I remembered the main reason I looked for David. He's the son of the hotel owner. His role was to open the door. Just as I was thinking whether to kick the door or not, a pair of bony fingers swiped the door card. Immediately, I heard the sound of the door unlocking. I stared at Robert in disbelief. He calmly handed me the card. David gave it to me. Said it would come in handy. As the door opened, sounds from inside came out, and I was immediately drawn to them. Taking Robert's card, I slipped into the suite. The two were kissing passionately, eagerly preparing for the next step. I quickly took a few photos, calmly put away my phone, and then calmly called out to them. Wait a minute. My voice interrupted them. Emily looked at me as if seeing a ghost, but her hands didn't stop moving. And then she smirked strangely. John suddenly sobered up and pushed Emily away. Ivy Smith. How did you get here? He rubbed his head, forcing himself to be alert. I tossed the condoms onto the bed. On the white sheets, colorful packages scattered. Bringing you something, buddy. Can't have you getting pregnant. After saying that, I pulled Robert away and left the hotel. You brought this for your fiance. Robert was clearly shocked by my behavior. This was the first time since I met him that I saw an expression on his poker face. Yeah, took photos as evidence. When it's time to break off the engagement, see how he can argue. Without a doubt, his parents would give my family some compensation to prevent the photos from spreading. This condom delivery was worth it. John never came out in the end. Probably giving up or Emily being skilled. None of that concerns me. David also had someone take pictures of the condoms they used. Several boxes were used up. I heard men aren't good the first time. Seems like they've been at it for who knows how long. Thinking about this, I couldn't hold back and vomited. Thankfully, my mom had told me to hold myself back. She said even though it's not ancient times anymore, the first time must be given to a man who's worth it. John Doe and I are in an arranged marriage relationship. We got engaged first and then started dating. He had always been incredibly attentive, and I thought I'd found true love. But now he seems like nothing but a total scumbag. It's just tough on my brother. To ensure I'd have a good life in the Doe family later, he fed a few projects to the Doe family. Getting out now would definitely be a huge loss. The next day, John came home early in the morning. He blocked me at the door. Ivy Smith. I can explain what happened last night. Explain what? Explain why you used so many condoms. Or explain how many times you slept together. A flicker of guilt crossed his face. Just for a moment. Then he returned to normal. I was drunk last night. It wasn't what you think. He tried to grab my hand, but I pulled away. Don't say you didn't use condoms. Do you know why I insisted on buying them for you personally yesterday? Because I marked every box to avoid you fooling me like an idiot. I sent him the photos. This villa was bought with half the money from each of us. Sell it when you get a chance. I threw that out and tried to leave. This time, He ignored my wishes and held me tightly. We're just buddies. We won't get married. Didn't you sleep with your male best friend too? I forgave you. So why are you clinging to this little mistake? Splitting up won't be good for either family. And in your next arranged marriage, you might not find someone who loves you like I do. I bit his arm hard. Even through his suit. I knew I got his flesh. He grunted but didn't let go. Damn it. I took a deep breath and slammed the back of my head against his nose. I felt a warm trickle drip onto my neck. He released me, covered his nose, and crouched down. What the hell are you doing? Emily Brown won't affect your status. You're my real wife. She's just my female friend who's like a brother. We've played together like this since we were kids. And in our eyes, there's no gender between us. Hearing that made me truly sick. What does no gender mean? Can two people who feel no gender use dozens of condoms in one night? Why doesn't he just find a man? I wiped the blood off my neck with a tissue and left the villa without looking back. ID originally planned to wait until my brother sorted everything out before leaving. But now I couldn't stay another minute. Damn. It was the first time ID heard such disgusting words that no gender means you can sleep together. I had David Johnson investigate Emily Brown. That woman isn't normal. In the afternoon, I waited in a private dining room at a discreet restaurant for David. It was Robert Taylor who walked in. Damn. Isn't this guy supposed to be super busy? He's the kind who doesn't even have time to deal with his brother having a boyfriend. Why have you been so free lately? Robert Taylor said. I looked behind. But David Johnson wasn't there. Nor was Alex Williams. They went out to have fun. I silently cursed David in my mind, that guy who always prioritizes his guy friends over girls. In the past, I was always there for him whenever he needed me. And he was the same for me. I picked up my phone to ask David. A stack of photos appeared in front of me. Hey Race, what you wanted? I flipped through the photos. Emily Brown sure had a lot of close female friends. She was already married. Her wedding date was just one day before John Doe agreed to get engaged to me. Emily's husband wasn't any worse than John. He was an outstanding person in every way. He was too busy with work to spend time with her. She had a condition called sex addiction. Her husband used to have a thing for my younger brother, Robert said elegantly, picking up food with chopsticks, while calmly telling me this fact. Even if her husband were into women, he wouldn't have the time to satisfy her. Hearing Robert's words, my scalp tingled. Was this really a topic we should discuss in our kind of relationship? Your fiancé is a better cure for her. Before, she cared about her husband. But after finding out her husband loved men, she started having some thoughts about your fiancé beyond just as a cure. I buried my head in my meal. Your fiancé doesn't know Emily is married. He continued calmly. Her husband doesn't care about her. Her husband's business is overseas. Domestic scandals don't affect his profits. He needs a legitimate wife. His matter-of-fact tone sent shockwaves through me. After all that, I wasn't the most miserable one. John was the most miserable. He seemed to amount to nothing from start to finish. But he should have some self-respect. This whole mess had nothing to do with him. So it was all his own fault. My brother told me beforehand that I could break off the engagement. I knew he must have taken a big hit financially, not wanting to worry our parents. My brother and I went alone to the Doe family to discuss calling off the engagement. Mr. and Mrs. Doe were stunned to see us there to end things and immediately called my parents overseas. Ivy, do you really want to call off the wedding? Mom was completely blindsided. During our last video call, I'd been so happy with this fiancé. He slept with another woman, he might even have illegitimate kids by now. Hearing that, Mom flew into a rage. This engagement has to end. I slammed the photos of John and Emily onto the table. If you don't want me leaking these pictures, compensate my brother with 5 of the Doe family's shares. When John came back, shock, disappointment, and a whirlwind of emotions flashed across his face. Emily and I didn't do anything, he said. I pointed at the photos on the table. Maybe take a look first before you start making excuses. He glanced at the photos on the table, then collapsed onto the sofa in the room. Where did you get these from? Of course, Robert gave them to me, but I only showed him the photos of Emily and John. I kept the rest to myself. I sure as hell wasn't going to tell him that Emily was married. I certainly won't tell him, if it weren't for the fact that Emily Brown's husband prefers men. Emily wouldn't give him even a shred of affection. Mr. and Mrs. Doe saw their son's reaction and sighed. Then give away 5 of the shares. And let's settle this. But if word gets out, it definitely wasn't us who did it. I cut off Mr. Doe's words. This isn't something you're giving us. It's compensation for my brother's losses over the past 2 years. I saw Emily again 1 month after calling off the engagement. I had just come out of my family company building when she stopped me. With no choice, I found a window seat at a cafe near the company and sat down. Why did you call off the engagement with him? John Doe is quite outstanding. Although she and John were like close friends, referring to each other as siblings. Emily had always been a poised and elegant woman. She always liked to wear a traditional Chinese dress, looking refined and gentle. If I hadn't heard it with my own ears, I'd never have believed she was the type to seduce men into bed. Is that all you're asking? I stirred my coffee with a spoon. Are you planning to divorce and marry John? With a clatter, her spoon fell into the coffee cup. As if I hadn't noticed her shock, I continued. I don't like picking up trash. If you don't provoke me, I'll act like nothing ever happened. Emily had never challenged me privately before, so in this game, there was no deep-seated hatred between us. My not telling John wasn't because I was pure-hearted. Instead, I wanted to know how he would feel when he suddenly discovered that the wonderful friend he held in his heart was completely different from what he imagined. Only when he uncovered this secret himself would it be interesting. Emily and John got married. She and her husband had registered our marriage abroad, but her marital status in the domestic records was still single. Our family and the Doe family were old friends. Since John was getting married, we had to attend. My parents still hadn't returned to the country. People like that weren't worth a special trip. I entered the venue arm in arm with my brother. John's face was radiant with happiness. You could tell his smile was much more sincere than when he was engaged to me. Throughout the entire wedding ceremony, he never took his eyes off Emily's face. Mr. and Mrs. Doe were quite happy too. I heard Emily brought a dowry worth over 100 million. You look a bit disappointed. I was lost in thought when I heard a familiar voice. It was Robert Taylor. A little, I said. To think he got married so happily. Why do I feel so tempted to do something bad inside? He won't be happy for long, Robert said before heading to his table. David Johnson jogged over. Ivy Smith. Are you okay? Alex said his brother has been acting strange lately. You should keep your distance from him. I nodded. I had never been close to Robert, so there was no question of staying away. The few days Robert mentioned didn't last long. On the 3rd day after John's wedding, a video of Emily checking into a hotel room with someone else appeared in the Rich Kids group chat. At the time, John was abroad on a business trip. The chat was buzzing with activity. I watched the video. The person with her was her friend, who was also considered John's friend. People in the group were saying whether John Doe would be furious to see it. I took out the chat records John had given me before. I ed those people one by one. In the chat records, I questioned him about checking into a hotel with you and Emily Brown. He said it was just to handle some business with a buddy, and that my mind is dirty, seeing everything as dirty. I reminded the people in the group that John's heart isn't that dirty. He would believe Emily. The group was quiet for a while. Then someone started spamming with 666. After countless 666s flooded the group, John finally surfaced in the group. I believe Emily. We were just checking into a hotel to play games. If he hadn't explained, I might have believed that he didn't suspect Emily. But with this explanation, It seemed like a self-admission of guilt. John had returned early from abroad, and the business deal wasn't settled. My brother took the opportunity to snatch away the client. By the time he sorted things out with Emily and went back abroad, the client had already signed with my brother. What he didn't expect was that as soon as he went abroad, Emily was exposed again for checking into a hotel with another buddy. Seeing this, I remembered Robert Taylor's words. Could it be that Robert did it? Otherwise, how come every time they checked into a hotel, they got photographed? Emily isn't a careless person. She hadn't had any issues for so many years. I tentatively sent Robert a message. Did you do what happened with Emily? For the company's business. He replied simply. Then I called my brother. I learned that John had gone out to negotiate several contracts, which were connections from his father's time. And this time it was just for renewal. It was thought everything would go smoothly. Who would have thought that halfway through, he ran off? The Taylor family got the biggest deal. My brother picked up the pieces. After hanging up, I felt something was off, but couldn't put my finger on it. Emily's incident was exposed by the media. The Doe family's stocks showed signs of falling, and I thought if the news that Emily was once married came out, the Doe family's shares would be worthless. I told my brother to sell the shares. He said he had already sold them. He also said he would avenge me and told me to take care. I went about my work at the company as usual. One day, a bouquet of white roses appeared on my desk. Ivy Smith. Someone just delivered them. The secretary said uneasily, "Should I put them in a vase or discard them?" I answered without hesitation. Now, the only one who would send me white roses is John. I only told him that I like white roses. I think they represent pure love. The secretary took the roses out. Then I received a message from John on my phone. Ivy Smith. Did you receive my flowers? I ignored him. After work, he stopped me at the office building. It really is like birds of a feather flock together. Before, Emily used to stop me like this. And now he's using the same tactic. In the same coffee shop. Speak. What do you want to see me for? It's been a month and a half since I broke off the engagement with him. And a month since he got married. Ivy Smith. I regret it. I shouldn't have married Emily Brown out of spite with you. Only then did I see clearly that he had dark circles under his eyes. As if he hadn't slept well for a long time. It could also be that Emily Brown needed him every night. He worked during the day and had to deal with his lover at night, leaving him exhausted. But seeing him looking drained of energy, I felt inexplicably happy. Seeing me smile, he thought I still had feelings for him. I'll divorce her and marry you. Okay. I'll never have anything to do with her again. I gently tapped the rim of the cup with a small spoon. Aren't you good brothers? Good brothers are for life. Just like David Johnson and I are best sisters. We'll be together forever. Of course. I definitely wouldn't marry my best sister. He opened his mouth. A bitter smile at the corner. Can't you stop being with your best sister for me? No. I think keeping the bed warm with a best sister is more reliable than with a man. After saying that, I paused. Besides, he brought me a young stud. And the young stud in bed pleases me. Hearing in bed, John's fingers trembled. It seemed his wife's demands were high, making him tremble at the word bed. I felt like toying with him. I was narrow-minded before. The five of us could live well together, sleeping together warmly and lively. As if insulted, he got up and left. I clicked my tongue and shook my head. So fragile and still wanting a chasing after ex-wife nightmare. Naive. I don't have a chasing after ex-wife nightmare here. I only have a chasing after ex-wife disaster zone. So open-minded. I was thinking about how to make John die 10,000 times when I heard a voice that made my hair stand on end. Robert Taylor. I put on a mask-like smile. What a coincidence. Are you waiting for your ex-fiance to come back? He sat down uninvited across from me. How could I be? If I wait for him to come back, I might as well twist his head off. I've known since childhood that I would have an arranged marriage. And now I don't think about anything else. Seeing John suffer. My brother will just pick a good man for me. It turns out my parents' judgment isn't good. My words successfully made the man opposite laugh. His laughter was low, not disturbing the people next door. I heard your brother is choosing a fiancé for you. As he spoke, he gently stroked the watch on his wrist, then stared directly into my eyes. I didn't avoid it. Getting married is such a normal thing. Probably. I trust his judgment. My indifferent expression confused him a bit. I thought you all wanted free love. Haven't seen anyone who makes my heart flutter yet. Since childhood, the so-called free love I've seen has almost never had a perfect ending. The more love there was at the beginning, the deeper the hurt later. I had a little hope for John before, but it ended the same way. What are your requirements for your future partner? I looked at him suspiciously. He wouldn't be trying to introduce his brother to me, would he? His brother likes men. I don't break up relationships. I'm temporarily interested in men. Your standards are really low. Someone patted my shoulder. I turned to see my brother. Brother, how did you get here? My brother sat next to Robert Taylor and scrutinized me carefully. My sister is so beautiful and sensible. I can't just find anyone for her. Seeing them sitting so close, I suddenly sensed a conspiracy. Brother, you're not into men too, are you? Liking Robert Taylor. As soon as I said that, my usually calm brother spat out his water all over the table. I heard John Doe was looking for you, and I was afraid you'd soften. So I rushed over. He apologized and glanced at Robert. Then he came to my side, put his arm around my shoulder, and said, Sister, what do you think of Robert? He's 6 feet 2 inches tall, has abs, looks handsome, and is responsible, just 6 years older than you. Remembering what David Johnson told me, to stay away from Robert, the first asked weakly, Can we switch to someone else? The calm person across from me coughed non-stop, as if choking on his coffee. My brother said goodbye to Robert and took me home. In the living room, my brother and I sat facing each other. Honestly, I never considered Robert before because I didn't think he'd be interested in you. My brother is still my brother. His bluntness left me speechless, so I pretended to be shy. He continued. Earlier, when he went to Switzerland, I thought he was picking up his brother, but I heard he hasn't cared for his brother all these years. When you had David Johnson go to the hotel, he locked David in the Taylor family home and came to you with a room key, only to find out you were bringing condoms to John Doe. When you asked David Johnson to look up something for you, he delivered it. But Robert was the one who gathered the information. After Emily Brown married John Doe, Robert arranged for photos every time they hooked up, just to make you happy. Hearing this, my mind went blank. I didn't even know Robert. Why would he do all this for me? Brother, how do you know about all this? I was able to intercept the Doe family project overseas this time because Robert's people tipped me off. He didn't answer my question directly and went on. I've been in business for years. Men who only talk and don't act are the least reliable. The ones who silently help you behind the scenes are the ones you can depend on. Brother, but I don't even know him. My brother adjusted his glasses and looked at me with a complicated expression. Are you sure you don't remember him? I shook my head like a rattledrum. When did I ever meet him? Actually, I found out after getting his friend drunk. Back when David Johnson and Alex Williams first got together. Robert was strongly against it. Once, when he went to a bar to drag him away, you were drunk, clung to him, wouldn't let go, and even flirted with him. A vague memory flooded my mind. We had just turned 18 then. David Johnson brought his boyfriend to meet me. The three of us drank a lot. A man suddenly came in to take David Johnson's boyfriend away, and I jumped onto him. Little guy. You're so handsome. Someone so good-looking shouldn't separate lovers. Ignoring his reaction, I hugged his head and kissed him. Love is wonderful, you must not have a partner. Let them be. Okay. I used my charms to seduce him for my male best friend. I was really going all out back then. Finally, the man left with a dark expression, not taking David Johnson's boyfriend away. I was way too drunk then. They also blacked out. I thought it was an illusion. It turned out to be true. And to my surprise, that person was actually the head of the Taylor family, Robert Taylor. Seeing my face gradually lose color, my brother probably guessed this had really happened. I was drunk. Brother, you know David Johnson is like a sister to me. I couldn't just watch him suffer. At that time, even though David Johnson and his boyfriend were wasted, they still clung tightly to each other. I got engaged to Robert Taylor. My brother gave me 2 irresistible reasons. This man was the most reliable person he'd ever met. And since I took away his first kiss, I had to take responsibility. He had also once encouraged me to date freely. But my upbringing taught me that wealth is far more trustworthy in this world. Men might betray you, but wealth never will. When the news got out, David Johnson couldn't stay calm. He invited me to our usual hangout bar. Ivy Smith. Just find someone else. He has a poker face. How will you survive if he ever bullies you? I can't even beat him. He sounded exactly like a worried mother afraid her child would be mistreated. I told him what had happened before. It's all my fault as your friend that you're in this mess. He sobbed like a child. My brother is really good, responsible, and dependable. Marrying him should make you happy, Alex Williams said, which made David Johnson's sobs hitch. He rubbed Alex Williams' face. Are you being threatened? Blink if you're being threatened. I rubbed my temples wearily. You're almost rubbing his face raw. How can he blink? David Johnson let go and blew gently on Alex Williams' flushed cheek. Alex, I'm sorry, he said with heartache, while I turned away, unable to watch. My brother is just strict with me, but he'll treat Ivy well, Alex said seriously. David Johnson heaved a long sigh. I knew he was blaming himself. If not for him, I probably wouldn't be in this situation. Come on. This is the guy who makes the most money in the whole city. He'll never run out of cash in this lifetime, I said, smacking David Johnson hard on the back of his head. Back when the 3 of us hung out like sisters, he was always the one who cried the most. Now, even with a boyfriend, he still cries the most. After seeing off David Johnson and Alex Williams, the first ran into John Doe. He was alone, his clothes disheveled, his once perfectly styled hair now greasy, as if he hadn't washed it in days. Ivy, heard you're marrying Robert Taylor next month. He reached out to grab me but pulled back midair. There was a red lipstick stain on his sleeve. John, keeping busy, I said with a sneer. At least change your clothes. Are you here to flaunt your relationship in my face? I waved a hand in front of my nose and stepped back 2 paces in disgust. Your wife's perfume is way too strong. He hid his arm behind his back, his smile freezing and then fading. As if suddenly aware of his expression, he forced a smile back on. Looking at his expression, I suddenly felt like laughing and burst out laughing. Seeing me laughing so brightly, it took him a while to say, Are you really going to marry Robert? He's an unfathomable man. You won't be able to handle him. He was so serious that I laughed again. Then I walked around him and headed outside. Ivy, Robert is really not someone you can control. He's clear-headed, decisive, and ruthless. You won't even know how you die. I didn't reply to him and left the bar without looking back. Men are never controllable by women. It all depends on whether they can control their own impulses. I've never seen a man who is truly obedient and loyal to a woman because of her control. Ivy and Robert's wedding preparations went as scheduled. In the rich kids group, there was more and more drama about John and Emily. John went to the hotel to catch Emily having an affair and then got into a fight with his buddy. While John was fighting with his buddy, Emily went to another hotel and checked into a room with another buddy. Just as they were in the heat of the fight, they heard that Emily had gone to a new hotel. John rushed to the new hotel again, and the hotel became lively once more. Everyone thought John would file for divorce. But unexpectedly, in the live-streamed video, Emily proposed a divorce. If you can't tolerate my friends, then let's get divorced. Those who had placed bets in the group wailed. Everyone proposed to bet on who would file for divorce first. I bet on Emily. Most people bet on John. Who could tolerate their woman sleeping around every day? I was sure John wouldn't file for divorce because of how he handled the relationship between me, him, and Emily. I knew he was a coward. He came to me saying he wanted to divorce Emily but spent all his time catching her in the act. Those who really want a divorce don't waste time on that. I won 500,000 from this bet. Then I received a message from John. How did you know I wouldn't file for divorce? As long as you promise me, I'll divorce Emily right away. Thanks, John, for letting me earn 500,000. I hope you'll keep it up so I can earn another million. After saying that, I blocked him. This guy is crazy. He actually thought I wanted to be with him. Then my phone rang with an unknown number. I initially wanted to hang up but then thought better of it. Ivy, don't hang up. Let me tell you the reason. Emily is sick and needs men. I was just trying to help her before. But I can't divorce her now. If I do, it will affect the stock price. He blurted out everything in one breath. I hung up the phone and blocked him. Fortunately, I found out early. Otherwise, my husband would be someone else's cure for life. If I disagreed later, I'd be called ungenerous and unkind. Disregarding someone's life. Ivy married Robert. On the wedding day, I didn't feel much, except for a bit of uneasiness when I remembered that I had force-kissed him before. The rest was okay. When the MC asked Robert, "Groom, do you promise to follow the marriage vows from now on? Will you love her, comfort her, respect her, and protect her, whether she is poor or rich, sick or healthy, beautiful or plain, successful or frustrated? And will you be faithful to her for the rest of your lives?" Hearing this, I was a bit dazed. Would he sincerely answer I do? Is this a necessary part? After Robert Taylor firmly replied, I do, I also heard the same vows. I looked at him, feeling a bit dazed. His deep, intense eyes were focused solely on me, and I could clearly see that at this moment. I was the only one in his gaze. I do. If he never betrayed me in this lifetime and kept his oath just as faithfully. He met his time. He took the initiative and my face flushed bright red. Only after a long while did he finally release me. I turned to look at the audience below and saw John Doe staring at the stage with bloodshot eyes. As if I had wronged him. Beside him sat Emily Brown, serene and composed like a chrysanthemum. After the wedding, Emily Brown approached me alone. "I'm leaving," she said, her gaze drifting into the distance as if reminiscing about a distant past. "I got married abroad. He was exceptional. So exceptional that I was willing to control my illness for him. But he liked men, and I went mad." She touched my wedding dress. Her eyes filled with envy. I had imagined marrying him, but he never gave that to me. Instead, he gave another man a romantic wedding. Her abrupt, disjointed words suddenly sparked a premonition in me. Did he come to you? That man needed a wife. Someone like Emily Brown, who loved him desperately, was the perfect fit. "I'm going back tomorrow to continue being his wife." He said I could sleep with anyone, just not him. Her voice carried endless loneliness. I thought to myself that I would never understand love in this lifetime. At least, not this kind of love. Before, I felt guilty for stealing your groom. Today, seeing your groom completely devoted to you, I've found peace. I want a wedding, and John can give that to me. Is his gaze all on me? I asked, feeling confused. Yes. You can't hide love for someone. I wish you happiness. After marriage, I finally understood the love for Robert Taylor that everyone spoke of. In our newlywed villa, everything from the decor to the smallest items was perfectly tailored to my heart's desires. The plants in the yard were all my favorite varieties and styles. Even the swimming pool was based on a design I had created during college. A unique concept unmatched anywhere in the world. I felt no fear of being watched, only the warmth of being cherished. When David Johnson and Alex Williams came over, they were stunned. Ivy Smith. Has Robert been plotting this for you all along? David Johnson examined the villa inside and out, front and back, before concluding that Robert was the biggest hopeless romantic. Thank goodness I have a good friend like you, or I'd never have met such a love-struck man. If it weren't for John's female friend who's like a brother, I wouldn't have had the chance to reunite with him either. Recalling the past, my emotions were complicated, and the urge to destroy those cheaters and lowlifes wasn't as strong anymore. After marriage, I still worked at my family's company. Robert came to pick me up downstairs at the office every single day without fail. No evening social events, no nights away from home. He was a completely different person from the one who used to live at the office. Employees at Taylor Group praised me as a goddess, finally reigning in their workaholic CEO and ending their daily misery of mandatory late-night overtime. Someone placed a photo of Robert and me in a prominent spot in their department, praying that we would stay in love forever and that the CEO's hopeless romanticism would never be cured. I heard about John Doe again 2 years later. He went abroad to find Emily Brown and asked her why she abandoned him. He had betrayed me for her sake. He could have been happy with me. He didn't dare to provoke Robert Taylor. He only dared to go find Emily. As a result, Emily's husband came out and showed their marriage certificate. He threatened to sue him for bigamy. John, without me and without Emily, was despondent all day long. The wealthy heirs in the capital all knew about John's scandals, and no girl was willing to marry him for an alliance. My brother and Robert have been putting pressure on the Doe family. The Doe family couldn't sustain itself anymore. Finally, John's father brought back his illegitimate son and arranged a marriage with a girl from a less prominent family. From then on, John was disowned by the Doe family. He became penniless. He was drunk all day long. One day, after drinking too much, he lay on the road and was run over by a car. Such a once brilliant person perished just like that. Robert said that Emily, upon learning that John died like that, developed severe depression and now lives on medication every day.